B12 is sold by itself under the tongue or combined with other vitamins like folate vitamins like this one, a once daily multivitamin. And remember, I had mentioned that taking folate with vitamin B12 and oh my, do you ever feel lost in the supplement aisle? Do they really make a difference? Absolutely, if you know what to look for. Go get a mirror because I'm going to show you how to make the most beautiful person healthy inside and out, yourself. Now in this series, I'll walk you through what I look for when I look at people and how I can tell that they have nutrient deficiencies. And by the end of the video, you'll know how to tell if you're missing critical vitamins, what labs to get checked, and how to pick the best supplements to replenish your supplies. So first thing you want to do is pull down your lower eyelid and take a look at that skin inside your eyelid. That's called the conjunctiva. It is a type of mucous membrane. It should be a nice, brilliant pink in color and not boggy or swollen looking. It shouldn't be bright red either. If it's pale, then that means you're anemic. If that's the case, then you need to go find yourself a medical doctor to see why you're anemic. Oftentimes, anemia could be the first sign you have a vitamin deficiency, like vitamin B12. The next thing I want you to do is open your mouth, and look on your cheeks, on your tongue, on the roof of your mouth. See if you have any canker sores. Canker sores can present on the tongue, on the sides of the tongue, on your cheeks, called the buccal mucosa, on your hard palate or on your soft palate. The hard palate has a bone, so that's the hard part. And then if you feel behind that hard palate, that's a soft palate. There's no bone there. You can also find canker sores inside your lips, on the lower lip or on the upper lip. This condition is called aphthous stomatitis, or they're called aphthous ulcers, and they could be another sign of vitamin B12 deficiency or inadequacy. Now that's the thing with vitamin levels. We have a standard one size fits all of the minimum amount of vitamins that you need to not have a disease. So that minimum is based on what prevents really bad diseases. And canker sores, they're not really thought of as diseases because they're non-specific. But if your body is undergoing a lot of stress, whether that's mental or physical stress like running a marathon, your body will register both stresses as just stress. So if you are tired from being sick from an infection, your metabolism is just like running a marathon, except that you're in bed. But most people view mental stressors or even physical stressors that doesn't involve movement to be very different stress, but that's not how the body registers stress. And whenever the body is stressed, it conserves energy, just like when you're on a budget. And when the government is on the budget and stressed for money, it starts cutting fund for programs. So in your body, when your body is stressed, the first program that it's going to cut is skin repair. And this is why your skin is a body part that will have symptoms first. And this is how you notice the symptoms because your body fails to repair the potholes. Now you can imagine that certain parts of your body undergo more trauma than others, right? Your mouth is eating all day long. Just that friction of putting food in your mouth, let's say a chip, will destroy tissue in your mouth. So in order for you not to have ulcers every day, your mouth needs to be able to repair very quickly. And when you're young and healthy and you get enough nutrients, it can do that. It takes actually several vitamins and minerals to keep the skin in your mouth and your gastrointestinal tract healthy. It's like remodeling your house. You need all different kinds of contractors, from plumbers to electricians to flooring people, in order to finish your house. But if the electrician can't get their supplies, then it can't put wires in your house. So then it halts construction to the house, even though your flooring guy may be ready and your piping guy may be ready and your painter is ready. And this is the same with how essential micronutrients work. You only need one to be depleted or inadequate where the whole system gets backed up and you get symptoms. And the first symptoms are repair issues, right? Potholes are the last things government fixes. And that's the same thing with your body. Ulcers are going to be the last thing that's going to be able to fix. And this is why I don't personally aim for the minimum RDA intake for my nutritional balance. I like to have wiggle room for those stressful times. And it's not just ulcers, but your tongue can actually lose its sensory hair projections and get inflamed and red. And this condition is called glossitis. In fact, the tongue is very sensitive because it undergoes a lot of trauma, right? Every time you're eating, you're moving your food around with your tongue. And that friction just doesn't destroy the cells in your mouth, but it actually will destroy the hairy projections in your tongue. And you have to have micronutrients to regrow these projections. And if you don't regrow it, well, pretty soon your tongue will be flat. I actually see this condition quite often. And this is why I'm always asking people to stick their tongue out at me. So stick your tongue out in the mirror and take a look at what your tongue looks like. And if it doesn't look normal, go see a medical doctor. Now, if your projections are too long, then that may mean that you're not eating enough fiber or you're not brushing your tongue. And when it's too long, it can actually trap food to promote growth of germs, which promotes bad breath. Take a look at the corners of your mouth. Some people have cracks in the corners of their lips. That's called angular stomatitis. The corners of your lips are undergoing a lot of trauma every time you talk and eat because you're opening and closing that skin, you're stretching it. So if you don't get enough micronutrients, you're not going to be able to repair the corners of your mouth. I've literally have seen people with inflamed red mouth corners for months. Well, I didn't watch them for months. They just had it for months when they first came to see me. And it's not just the corners of your lips that can crack, but your lips themselves can crack. And then the whole tissue can be pretty dry and uncomfortable. And take a look at your skin. Are there blotchy parts that are black or darker in skin color? What we call hyperpigmentation. This hyperpigmentation may be more noticeable in your extremities, like your hands and your feet, over joints like your fingers and your toes. Vitamin B12 deficiency actually increases melanin secretion to cause dark pigmentation. Besides your skin, vitamin B12 is a critical vitamin for your brain and nervous system. If you have unexplained neuronal or psychiatric symptoms, your doctor should really look into your vitamin B12 level. So it's important to understand how people get deficient, because if you don't understand how this happens, it can happen to you. Vitamin B12 deficiency is really not uncommon, especially in people who don't eat much or who are on restrictive diets, especially in people who don't eat meat or any animal products, as vitamin B12 is not made by any plants. But some processed plant foods are fortified with vitamin B12, like cereals. Nutritional yeast, it's not an animal, can also be fortified with vitamin B12. If it's fortified, it will tell you on the label. In fact, vitamin B12 is not made by any animals, but animals can store vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is a microbial vitamin. That means microbes make vitamin B12. So strict vegetarians and vegans will be eating vitamin B12 deficient diets unless they supplement. Supplementation is recommended for them, but in fact, it's recommended for anybody over 50 years of age or who have special circumstances. Now, what's so magical about 50? Well, when you hit 50, you start making less gastric acid and you secrete less intrinsic factor, which is a protein necessary for your body to absorb vitamin B12. Now, remember I said special circumstances, right? So if you are on metformin, it's a very common drug prescribed for diabetes. Well, you're at risk for vitamin B12 deficiency. If you've been diagnosed with Helicobacter pylori, which is an infection in the stomach, it's a very common bacteria that can just live in the stomach. Or if you have an intestinal parasite called Diphyllobotham latum, you're also at risk for vitamin B12 deficiency. Unfortunately, I'm not done with the list yet. If you have chronic pancreatitis or malfunctioning pancreas, you are also unable to activate cobalamin binding proteins, which are necessary for you to absorb B12, so you are at risk of vitamin B12 deficiency. And you can imagine if you're on an antacid, especially a chronic antacid, then you are also at risk of vitamin B12 deficiency. People with stomach surgeries, like a gastric bypass, or inflammation in their stomach, like gastritis, or people with inflammation in their intestines, like colitis or like Crohn's disease, they are all at risk of vitamin B12 deficiency. Because if you don't have gastric acid, you don't have the right proteins, then you can't absorb vitamin B12 even if it's in your diet. But definitely an oral supplement may or may not help. It depends on how severe your condition is. There's a condition called Pernicious Anemia, which is caused by autoantibodies. Your body makes antibodies that can bind to intrinsic factor or to the stomach cells called parietal cells that are necessary for you to absorb vitamin B12. So people with pernicious anemia will have a difficult time increasing their vitamin B12 levels with just oral supplements. And this is why you need to see a medical doctor and not just DIY a vitamin B12 supplement. And if everything's good, in the end, your doctor may just tell you to go buy a supplement over the counter. Now, the reason why people need a supplement is because you can't physiologically get that much vitamin B12 in your food. It's just not bioavailable like a vitamin B12 supplement. And you absorb 50% more vitamin B12 from a supplement than from the equivalent food source. But when you're on the supplement aisle, which one are you going to choose? You will find vitamin B12 in different formulations, from sublingual forms to nasal spray forms, or combined with a multivitamin or NAB complex, or sold singly. And this is what's so confusing, because if you don't know some of the general rules of B12 interaction, then you may buy something that's not effective. Maybe you've bought a multivitamin. Well, let's see what it has, okay? I think the label is in here. Okay, so this is a supplement label. Oftentimes, multivitamins have folate or folic acid. It has 1360 micrograms, and then it has vitamin B12, Cyanocobalamin, 25 micrograms. Well, the problem is that folate actually interferes with your absorption of vitamin B12. So if you're taking a multivitamin with both, you may not be absorbing vitamin B12 from that supplement, especially if this supplement has very large doses of folate. And by the way, folate is vitamin B9. The other issue is they both cause the same kind of anemia, megaloblastic anemia. And folate can actually correct your megaloblastic anemia without getting your vitamin B12 up. And that's actually dangerous because it can mask the fact that you're vitamin B12 deficient. Besides being important for red blood cell production, vitamin B12 is critical for neuronal health. That means if you have nervous system problems, such as tingling or burning, numbing, or problems with thinking, or mood problems, that could be a vitamin B12 deficiency. And if we just treat your megaloblastic anemia and ignore the possibility that you have a B12 deficiency, then all those symptoms will just continue to get worse. And the reason why you want to treat it is not only because you could feel better, but it also can lead to dementia and strokes. In the past, there were reports that vitamin C interferes with vitamin B12 absorption, but that has not been proven. And that could have been a problem with their assay or how they had performed their test. So I've personally been taking a combination supplement with both vitamin B12 and vitamin C, and my levels of vitamin B12 are very normal. But if you are concerned, you should have your levels checked. In the supplement aisles, there will be different formulations of vitamin B12. You can take vitamin B12 as a nasal spray, but just know that it can cause more runny noses, and it's not been proven to be better than oral vitamin B12. Nasal sprays are also more expensive. Now, if you're extremely deficient or have difficulties with absorption, your doctor can give you intravenous or intramuscular vitamin B12. Now, there's no upper limit to vitamin B12, but if you overdo vitamin B12, it can actually contribute to skin acne because it can feed a bacteria on your skin called Propionibacterium acnes, which is actually a common cause of acne. And this is another reason why people who eat a lot of meat can get a lot of acne. High doses of vitamin B12 in IV infusions causes P. acnes to produce more porphyrins, which leads to skin inflammation and more acne. It's actually quite common in Beverly Hills to get intravenous infusions of vitamins when people are tired or just to do it on a regular basis. But if you're breaking out, you may want to rethink those IV infusions of vitamins. And just so you know, when you get an injection, 50 to 98% of your injected dose is just going to be peed out. And that happens within the first 8 hours. A smaller percentage, less than 8 micrograms, could be excreted in your bile into your gastrointestinal tract, and then that could be reabsorbed. Now, the reason why I'm telling you about vitamin B12 is that it's an essential micronutrient. It facilitates several methylation reactions in the body. Methylation is a chemical reaction that adds a methyl group to molecules such as DNA and proteins. And this is your body's way to turn on and off genes and how it regulates itself. So in essence, your genes are like the computer programming of what your cells do, but it's always changing or learning from its environment. It's kind of like artificial intelligence, except there's nothing artificial about your genes. Your body is never static. It may look like it doesn't change, but it's absolutely changing all the time, and it's super sophisticated. That is how you adapt, you respond, you learn, and you grow. This is what stress does to our body normally, and this is why we need to have a little bit of stress. This is how great athletes like Michael Phelps become great athletes, right? They put their body under stress and their body adapts. Well, we don't have to be an athlete to be stressed out, but we do have to adapt to our environment to survive and thrive. And when you don't survive and thrive, you're in bed, you're stuck with fatigue or symptoms like chronic headaches, or you may get cancer. In essence, methylation is how your body communicates on a cellular level with itself. And when you mess with the communication, you basically get miscommunication that leads to chaos, which leads to diseases. It starts in your skin, then it leads to infections, and then it leads to chronic symptoms like pain, hair loss, and potentially cancer. Smoking interferes with methylation. Cigarettes are full of heavy metals, such as cadmium. Cadmium actually decreases methylation, and you don't have to smoke to get cadmium. It's actually in your chocolate. Accumulation of cadmium leads to both kidney and lung damage. It increases kidney and breast cancers. Methylation also allows things to go in or out of your body. It actually amplifies the toxicity of toxins like arsenic logarithmically. Arsenic is found in seafood, in rice products, poultry, and juices. A big reason for why our food is contaminated is because arsenic was a common ingredient used in pesticides and herbicides. In America, we've phased that out, but we still currently have arsenic in wood preservatives and in glass manufacturing. And unfortunately, once arsenic gets in the environment, it stays in the soil. So if you're cutting wood, all that sawdust could have arsenic. Both inorganic arsenic and methylated forms of arsenic, such as dimethyl arsenic acid and monomethyl arsenic acid, are considered to be irritants at best at low levels and lethal or carcinogenic with high exposure over a long period of time. Unfortunately, besides food, arsenic is actually found in the water, especially near industry. So if you're concerned about arsenic, don't panic. Go see your medical doctor and have them test you for arsenic. If they don't know how to send the test, if they don't know what to do about it, have them call the CDC.
Hi friends, I am so thrilled that you want to take charge of your health and take charge of your food. Now, I know nutrition can be complex, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm here to support you in this lifelong journey. So if you point your camera app to this QR code, it'll take you to a link for a free handout that I created just for you. And if you like it, if you want to see other handouts, please go to the link in my show notes and then you can leave me your feedback on what I could do to help you in your journey. Okay, back to the video now.
Vitamin B12 does more than just turn genes on and off. I'm sure you've heard of proteins, which makes a scaffolding of your entire body. Proteins are made out of amino acids, and one amino acid is called methionine. It's an essential amino acid that you need to get from your diet. But when you eat methionine, it eventually gets broken down to homocysteine, which is another amino acid that's actually toxic in high doses. High homocysteine levels means you have a vitamin deficiency. And it's prudent that you get that down as fast as possible because high homocysteine levels is associated with damage to your arterial walls that can lead to blood clot, heart disease, heart attacks, dementia, osteoporosis, and strokes. Typically, your body, with the help of vitamins, rapidly breaks down homocysteine, and only a small amount remains in your blood. But people who are older, especially men, especially people who smoke or drink alcohol excessively, will all have higher levels of homocysteine. Now, number one, if you want lower levels, you got to avoid the toxin. And at the same time, eat the antidote. That means incorporating more fruits and vegetables, especially leafy greens, because they are rich in folate, which is another vitamin that you need to get an adequate amount of in order to get that homocysteine level down. You also need an adequate amount of vitamin B12, which allows conversion of homocysteine back into methionine. Now, to be thorough, high homocysteine levels can also be caused by thyroid and kidney disease, psoriasis, lupus, certain medications, and the lack of vitamin B9, folic acid, the lack of vitamin B6, and the lack of vitamin B12, or people who have a genetic predisposition, who have the MTHFR gene, or people who have homocystinuria. These are all reasons for higher homocysteine level. A normal range of homocysteine should be less than 13 micromoles per liter, and levels should be rechecked at 2-month intervals after you have implemented changes in your lifestyle. However, if you're going to supplement, which vitamin B12 should you take? Cyanocobalamin is the most common and oldest form found in supplements. It is a synthetic form of vitamin B12, often used because it's more stable and cheaper to make. Cyanocobalamin is absorbed in the small intestine after binding to intrinsic factor that is excreted from your stomach, or can bind to other cobalamin binding proteins. So if you chew it, it can increase absorption. Okay, then vitamin B12 needs to be attached to proteins in your blood to be transported to your tissues, and eventually any excess vitamins is actually stored in your liver. So vitamin B12 is not a deficiency you get overnight. You generally have several years of storage capacity in your liver when you decrease vitamin B12 in your diet. It is still, however, an essential vitamin for DNA synthesis, for energy production, and for you to make cells like red blood cells. And that's why one of the first signs of vitamin 12 deficiency is pale mucous membranes or pale conjunctiva. Vitamin B12 deficiency causes a specific anemia called megaloblastic anemia. That means red blood cells are larger than normal. However, before you get anemic, you're going to develop aphthous ulcers. You're going to feel tired. You're going to have changes in your nervous system, as vitamin B12, I had mentioned prior, is critical for the health of your nervous system. Now, some people prefer not to take cyanocobalamin because when you take vitamin B12 as cyanocobalamin, your body actually needs to convert cyanocobalamin into the active form of vitamin B12, methylcobalamin or adenosylcobalamin, before it can actually be used. And adenosylcobalamin is crucial to allowing your body to convert methylmalonyl coenzyme A to succinyl coenzyme, which is a crucial molecule in fatty acid and amino acid metabolism, essential for cell growth and division. Now, personally, I don't like taking cyanocobalamin because aluminum is present in the manufacturing of cyanocobalamin. Aluminum is associated with central nervous system and bone toxicity, and that's why people with renal disease shouldn't be using cyanocobalamin. Cyanocobalamin formulations may also contain benzyl alcohol, and benzyl alcohol are toxic to premature infants. If you have a severe deficiency, then taking an oral supplement probably isn't going to be enough. However, if you're just looking for a supplement just to make sure you don't get deficient, then absolutely, oral supplements can be very effective. Overdosing is generally not an issue. However, nothing is without side effects. If you take intravenous, intramuscular, and nasal vitamin B12 formulations, they are considered riskier than oral supplementations. You can develop allergic reactions such as itching, redness, possibly even hives. It's more common when people are injected with vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 has cobalt, and that's why it's called cobalamin. And if you have cobalt sensitivity, you can also have a reaction to the cobalt. These reactions can include shortness of breath, congestive heart failure, cramps, because you can actually deplete your potassium levels. Some people get numbness and itching. They can get fever, swollen tongue. They can also get a rash. All this can happen. After you have repleted vitamin B12, you can actually unmask other diseases like polycythemia, which is abnormally high red blood cells. These are some of the reasons why you don't just want to randomly take supplements without being monitored by a licensed medical physician. Now, methylcobalamin is what I prefer. It's the biologically active form of vitamin B12, meaning it is already in a ready-to-use form for your body. Now, for some people, particularly those with genetic variations of the MTHFR gene, the body's ability to convert cyanocobalamin into active forms of vitamin B12 like methylcobalamin or adenosylcobalamin is very impaired. And these individuals will benefit from taking the methylated versions of B12, such as methylcobalamin, because it's already ready to use. It's more bioactive than cyanocobalamin. And remember, vitamin B12 is necessary for DNA synthesis, for red blood cell formation, and for you to methylate other molecules. It's actually thought to improve the absorption for vitamin B12. It has the same neuroprotective properties supporting nerve health. It also reduces tingling and numbness, and it can improve other signs of vitamin B12 deficiency. However, the problem with methylcobalamin is that it's light sensitive, and it deteriorates quite rapidly when exposed to light. You literally can lose 76% of the vitamin in the bottle if it's exposed to light. Adenosylcobalamin is another active form of vitamin B12, and it's particularly important for mitochondrial energy production. Oftentimes you'll find the both methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin combined together. Hydroxycobalamin is often used for injections. It's converted into both methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin in the body. And here's a chart of the recommended dietary allowance for vitamin B12, which varies by age and life stage. You see, it's not a lot. When you get vitamin B12 blood levels, oftentimes your provider will just screen you with a serum vitamin B12, which usually is considered normal between 200 and 900 picograms per milliliters. However, many healthcare providers suggest maintaining higher vitamin B12 level in the range between 500 and 900 picograms per milliliter. And this helps to ensure optimal energy, and hair growth. And usually you'll just go in for a random vitamin B12 level checked. If you have low levels, you're clearly deficient. But if you have borderline levels, then that needs further workup, and they need to measure an MMA level and a homocysteine level. If you have an elevated MMA level and an elevated homocysteine level, then pretty much you have a vitamin B12 deficiency. MMA stands for methylmalonylic acid. If your methylmalonylic acid level is normal, but your homocysteine levels are high, then that means you can have a folate deficiency. Now, if your methylmalonylic acid level is normal and your homocysteine levels are normal, then you don't have vitamin B12 deficiency. However, if you have an insufficiency for your physical needs, then this may not present as a deficiency on your blood tests. Insufficiency first before they get deficient, right? You have to kind of go and get lower before you absolutely bottom out. Older adults who live in a community dwelling, right? They don't have family to cook for them, or people who have underlying gastritis. And up to 43% of those individuals can have vitamin B12 insufficiency. And the lower your vitamin B12, the higher your risk of cancer. The bottom line is vitamin B12 is an essential micronutrient that you need to eat, whether in a supplement or from your food. If you decide to supplement, there's really no known upper limit theoretically in toxicity. There have been no reported cases, but there are side effects even at very low levels. So let's talk about some practical shopping tips when you're looking for a vitamin B12 supplement. So when you're at Trader Joe's, you're going to find a variety of supplements. B12 is sold by itself under the tongue or combined with other vitamins like folate vitamins like this one, a once daily multivitamin. And remember, I had mentioned that taking folate with vitamin B12, it inhibits the absorption of vitamin B12. So I personally don't like multivitamins because of these interactions, unless people have thought about the interactions of these vitamins. Otherwise, I just recommend that people buy vitamin B12 separately. In case you're wondering about the supplement that I take, it is a multiple vitamin supplement. It has vitamins, minerals, and other micronutrients. And because I knew of this interaction, there is no folate in this formulation. If you shop at Target, you're going to see a lot of gummy vitamins. There's going to be vegan gummy vitamins and ones that just have vitamin B12, even ones with methylcobalamin. But these gummies are full of tapioca syrup and organic cane sugar. Gummies are one of the worst textures you can eat for your oral health. My niece had 14 cavities because she ate gummified food. Target also has a vitamin B12 with 2,500 micrograms of cyanocobalamin with sucralose. And I already mentioned my thoughts about cyanocobalamin. I think all gummies just have too much sugar. If the first two ingredients are sugar and sugar, well, that's the general rule not to eat it for any food. That's pretty much sugar, even if it has a sprinkle of some vitamins. And 2,500 micrograms, that's a lot of vitamin B12 to take in a day. So if you're going for higher doses, those are probably not recommended for a daily dosing. But the good news is that when you take more vitamin B12, you're just going to absorb less. Your body already kind of knows to do that. At Costco, you're going to find Kirkland's Signature Quick Dissolve 5,000 micrograms of vitamin B12. They also sell Nature's Made vitamin B12 at 1,000 micrograms. The problem with these formulations is that it's made out of cyanocobalamin. And remember, cyanocobalamin could have aluminum, and you can build aluminum toxicity if you keep taking it over time. So personally, between cyanocobalamin and methylcobalamin, I prefer not to take the cyanocobalamin. And definitely if I had renal disease or any kind of memory problems, I would not take any chances to collect aluminum, so I would avoid cyanocobalamin. Kirkland Super B complex with electrolytes has a little bit of vitamin B12, which is still in the form of cyanocobalamin. And this formulation also has folate. Remember, folate and vitamin B12, they're not supposed to be taken together. I would split them apart about 2 hours. Costco also sells Nature's Made Super B complex, which also combines folate and cyanocobalamin. And again, gummified vitamins seems to be a hit everywhere. So Costco has gummies that have 1,000 micrograms of vitamin B12. And just remember, gummified food, that's not real food, even if it doesn't have sugar. Maltitol syrup, maltitol, pectin, palm oil, these will change your gut microbiome. And remember, if you're going to take really high doses, they probably should be spaced out and not taken every day. If you're at CVS, you're also going to find vitamin B12. They have their own brand, which is made out of cyanocobalamin, 1,000 micrograms. They also have Nature's Made brand of vitamin B12. That's 1,000 micrograms. That has both Cyanocobalamin, and calcium. Well, calcium is a supplement that I would not take because excessive calcium can cause plaques in the artery. So in general, unless you've been told by a physician to take calcium, it's not something that you should randomly take in your multivitamin or as a combination vitamin or any other supplemental form besides food. Calcium will be in your multivitamins for men's or women's. It's just a very common mineral that a lot of people know about. They just don't realize you're not supposed to take it as a supplement unless it's supervised by a physician. I did find a particular brand called Santo Remedio Vitamin B12, which is just methylcobalamin, and that has 500 micrograms. CVS also has Nature's Bounty Vitamin B12 Energy Health Gummies, and gummies for her and gummies for him. Well, remember these gummies, they're full of corn syrup, sugar, maybe gelatin, palm oil, silicon dioxide. Does this really sound like food to you? And if you want to avoid artificial stuff, especially artificial flavors and colors, then you may want to avoid that brand. And you're going to find vitamin B12 in your energy drinks, right? Because it's an important vitamin for people to make energy. And this particular brand is sold at Costco, Zip Fizz, that combines a lot of B vitamins with vitamin B12. And now you know that when you have a bunch of B vitamins like folate and vitamin B12, they're not supposed to be taken together. Otherwise, they compete with each other. And in addition, this brand has cyanocobalamin. And on top of that, it has sucralose and caffeine. Costco also has Nature's Bounty Vitamin B12 2,500 micrograms quick dissolved methylcobalamin. And I do like how it's in a darker container, but it could be a convenient, easy way to get your vitamin B12 on a weekly basis. But the formulation is that it's flavored with sucralose. And if you want to know my thoughts about sucralose, then watch the next video.